My name is Gary, and this is my 07 AP2. When the car first came out in the year 2000, I wanted one right away, but everywhere I went, the dealers were adding 6,000 to the MSRP, and so I just let it slide year after year after year. And finally in 07, I got it. It's something I wanted for many, many years, and I finally got it. It's just been the biggest bang for the buck, let's put it that way.
My name is Melvin Garcia, and this is my 2002 AP1. My favorite thing about the car is sometimes I can go top down, take the hardtop off, cruise down the coast, or sometimes, you know, take it to the track with the hardtop on, make the VTEC scream to 9,000 RPM.
My name is Jason. I actually have two S2000s. I have a 2001, which is this one, and I also have a 2002. Primarily got the S2000 for all the wrong reasons. I came from a Volkswagen Golf that was on air suspension, and I was actually just buying the S2000 to stance it. And then I just got familiar with some of the members and got introduced into grip, and that definitely changed the way I looked at the S2000, and now I'm definitely a grip driver.
Hi, my name is Dwayne. I have a 2004 AP2 that I bought brand new 12 years ago. Since I bought the car in 2004, it's gone through a different evolution. When I first got in 04, I just did autocross, track day here and there. And then 3 years ago, I burned a valve and needed a new motor, long story short. And then I thought about what's the best way I can have a daily smog legal track car. So I thought about at the K24 at first, but then I ended up getting an LS1. And it's been about a year and a half, and I've been happy with it. Pass the smog 320 to the wheel all day.
Hi, my name is Elijah Seymour. I have a 2006 S2000 Silverstone AP2. What I love most about the car is the rev limiter. I love that it just wants you to give it more. It's one of those cars that you just have to give it all you got and just continue to step on the gas and just push it as hard as you can. When the S2000 came out, I remember watching Fast and the Furious, and I told myself this is just the car that I had to have. Suki had the pink one, and I knew that one day that this was going to be the car for me.
So my name's Victor. This is my 05 AP2 S2000. So this car is a weekend car. I've had it about 2.5 years. I've only put about 5,000 miles on it.
My name is Mario, and this is my 2000 S2000 AP1. Recall back like in 01, 02, I saw my very first white AP1, and ever since then that just kind of stuck with me.
My name is Baron. I have it here, 2006 Honda S2000 AP2. So with my S2000, I decided to emulate the CR since only a little less than 700 were made. And so I started with getting with the CR wing. After a while, I decided I have to complete the whole thing. So I went with the CR lip, the hardtop, CR wheels, CR suspension, but now I run the suspension from Fortunato. It is set up for the track, but I do love to take it on canyon roads. It is what it's built for, and let's go take it for a drive.
So if you guys have watched any of my previous videos, you'll know that I'm a huge fan of the AP2 S2000. So that's actually the car that I've decided to drive first today. So we're going to do the AP2 and then the AP1. I haven't driven an AP1 in like 3 years, so I want to get reacquainted with the S2000 first by driving an AP2 since I used to own one. And then we'll revisit the AP1 and we'll see the differences between the two. So of course, right now we're in Baron's 2006 S2000. It's an AP2, but it's a CR / kind of Type S clone. The main differences between this car and my previous S2000 are, since this is a 2006, it's got the drive-by-wire throttle, which means there's no direct throttle cable linkage between the accelerator pedal and the throttle body. So it's all controlled by a computer. And of course, being an AP2, this has the F22C1 motor, which is a 2.2 liter naturally aspirated inline 4. It makes the same 240 horsepower as the AP1, but of course this one makes a little more torque, 9 foot-pounds more, so it's 162 foot-pounds of peak torque in this engine. On paper, it doesn't sound like a big increase in torque, but if you look at the differences between the power band or the torque band between the two engines, this one, as you'll notice, reaches that peak torque 1,000 RPMs earlier. So you get that full 162 foot-pounds at 6,500 RPMs, while in the AP1 you have to rev it all the way out to 7,500 before you even hit that peak torque. So for an electrically assisted power steering rack, it's one of the best I've used. The only other one that comes close or maybe is slightly better is the Subaru BRZs. So at low speed, this car is super easy to drive. With this hardtop, it is a little bit rattly. That's one of the inherent issues with the S2000 is that when you run it with a soft top up or with a hardtop, the mounting points aren't exactly the most sturdy, so they do have a bit of play to it, and so you do get some rattles from them, especially when going over bumps. But other than that, it's a very easy car to drive. You got absolutely amazing visibility out the front. I'm only 5'7", and sitting in this bucket seat at this particular height, I can't even really see the hood, but that doesn't really matter because it gives me perfect front visibility. I can place the car exactly where I want it to. So you said you have the CR suspension on this?
It used to have CR suspension. I had the whole kit, the CR lip, wing, suspension, and wheels. But I recently just changed it to the Fortunato coilovers.
Is that the 500 or series?
500 series,
okay.
Yes. They are 10K in the front, 10K in the rear. Really enjoyed it. I installed it at the same time with my Recaro replica seat here, and it really made a huge difference on our mountain drives.
Okay. I mean, it feels pretty good. I actually bought a set of Fortune 500s for my S2000, didn't get a chance to install it. But for a pair of, or for a set of relatively cheap coilovers, the ride quality is not too bad. It's fairly compliant with your 10K springs front and rear. Well, let's go a bit faster in a moment and see how it does in the twisties. So it's been a while since I last drove an AP2, and it is just as fun as I remember it. I mean, I owned the car for a good 2 years before I let it go to sell my NSX, and that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. It's just such a fun car to drive. I mean, I've driven so many cars, either for my YouTube channel, and even prior to that, I drove a bunch of cars, sports cars, Z4Ms, Camaro ZL1s, Corvettes, Z06s, you name it. But I always come back to the S2000, in particular the AP2. It just has the perfect balance of high revving NA motor with an amazing sound, lightweight chassis, responsive steering, responsive handling, good suspension. It's just one of the most fun cars I've ever driven. So this car in particular, I think the couple of differences from my old 2004 are, first of all, the suspension feels a little bit softer. I know you have the Fortunato 500s on here. I used to have the Bilstein PSS9, which is in a similar class of kind of mid-range street-focused coilover. So what kind of spring rates did you say you're running, and what damper setting do you have right now?
Well, right now we're on 10K springs front and rear. I put it about 6 clicks from full stiffness. It's about 75%, and then for the rears, it's a little bit softer, probably around mid-range, in between stiff and full soft.
I don't know. I guess the Fortunatos just feel a little bit softer than my old coilovers, but still it feels pretty good, and it has fairly good ride quality over the bumps. The other big difference, I think, is the brakes. I mean, obviously, You know, these are stock brakes, stock rotors, stock pads, stock everything. On my car, I had the also stock rotors and calipers, but I had the Hawk HP Plus pads, and those are a lot more grabby. When you first start to apply pressure to the brake pedal, you get a lot more initial bite. And so that's one area where I think this car could use some improvement, is simply just upgrading the pads and getting some nice .4 fluid would make the braking feel a little bit more responsive. But other than that, it's damn near perfect. So it'll be interesting to see how the AP1 compares to this. I also really appreciate the fact that you have the stock catback exhaust. I mean, with just the test pipe, that opens up the mid-range sound a little bit. But honestly, I had the NVIDIA Q300 dual tip exhaust on my car, and I found that it did get a little bit annoying and raspy and attention grabbing, let's just put it that way, when I was going, you know, anywhere near the throttle. And one other thing that I mentioned earlier, since this 2006 model does have the drive-by-wire throttle, I will say it does feel slightly less direct in its response compared to my 2004. It's barely noticeable. In fact, it's not noticeable at all when I'm just driving around slowly. But when I'm going full throttle, I feel like when I get off the throttle, there's just a very slightly detectable delay where the revs kind of want to hang a little bit longer than they do in the 2004 2005 model. But it's I mean, pretty much splitting hairs. All right, so thanks again, Baron, for letting me drive your car, and let's go see the AP1 and see how that compares. All right, so now we're in Mario's AP1 here, and this is pretty much set up as a track car. And so I haven't driven an AP1 in about 3 years, and at that time I honestly wasn't great of a driver, so this is a fairly new experience for me. I mean, obviously it feels pretty close to the AP2 at low speed. The one thing I'm noticing right now that's really different from the AP2 is the steering. It could be due to your custom caster settings or your other alignment settings, but I'm noticing that the initial turn-in, like just a few degrees off center, is very, very light, but then it gets kind of heavy as you load it up more, and then it gets light again as you keep turning it. So it's kind of weird, it's hard to explain, but we'll see in a moment once we start to drive a bit quicker to see if how it feels when it really loads up. What's your caster angle set at?
5.9.
5.9. Okay, that could be why. Because in my old S2000, I had it at like 6.5 or something.
Most people say run it high. I like it low so I can really feel the inputs.
Okay.
Because I felt that the higher it is, yeah, it feels heavy. So I really don't know how to gauge how much for turning.
Okay, that's fair enough. And so this being an AP1, of course, it has the F20C engine, which is a 2-liter inline 4 compared to the AP2's 2.2 liter. So it's a 10% down on displacement, but it makes the same peak horsepower of 240, and torque is down about 9 foot-pounds to 153 foot-pounds. And as I mentioned earlier, this one reaches peak torque at a ridiculous 7,500 RPM. So you really have to wind it out even past the VTEC engagement point of 6,000 until you really hit that peak torque and peak power. And this one also has the direct throttle cable, so it's not a drive-by-wire system like the 2006 model. And already I can tell it has a slightly more responsive throttle pedal, which I prefer. What suspension are you running again?
HKS Hypermax 3.
Okay, is it set to a pretty stiff setting right now?
No, it's actually right in the middle.
Okay, well, what are your spring rates?
13 in the front, 11 in the rear.
Okay, so that's why it definitely feels a bit stiffer than the AP2, because that one was running Fortune Auto 500 coilovers with 10K. So this one, definitely it's less compliant over the bumps. You can feel every bump a lot more exaggerated compared to the AP2. Yeah, this definitely feels like more of a stripped out track car compared to the other car. Not that it's stripped out or anything, but just in the way it rides and the way it responds, it's more immediate than that other car. But let's start to push it a little harder here and see how it really feels. Okay, so after driving this car hard, there's quite a big difference in the way it feels compared to the AP2. On a smoother road, it just feels more connected to the road than that AP2. And I think a lot of that has to do with the suspension and the spring rates, the thicker sway bars. It feels just a lot less mushy in the corners. And another big thing, which is more important than that in terms of driver confidence, is the brakes. The brake pads on this car make a huge difference compared to the stock pads on the AP2. This one I can brake later, I can brake harder, and with a lot more confidence. And I feel a little bit less nosedive as well when I'm braking hard. But yeah, I mean, like you said, this one feels, in terms of the brake setup for stock rotors, it feels just about perfect. And of course, the big question is, how does the engine feel? I mean, higher redline, lower torque. It feels really different than the AP2. When I rev it out, I'm at like 8,000 RPMs. My brain, my ears are telling me it's time to shift up. But then I look down and it's like, I still have another 1,000 RPMs to go. So it doesn't feel as natural to me because I'm so used to the AP2 in terms of the sound. Once VTEC kicks in, I feel it. I know there's about a few seconds delay in second gear before I hit redline. So I shift up. But this one, it feels like it just wants to rev forever. It feels like a motorcycle engine practically. In terms of the torque, when I'm driving it hard, I don't notice that at all. Keeping the revs between 6,000 and 9,000, even as low as 5,000, it feels not much less powerful than the AP2. Do you have any kind of tune on your motor? Is it all stock?
No, it's all stock.
All stock, okay. So overall, now my opinion on AP1 versus AP2, at least, I mean, this isn't an apples to apples comparison since these cars are both modified in their own way. But just based on the inherent qualities of the AP1 versus AP2, I'm still having a really hard time deciding which one I like better. I love the fact that the AP2, at least the one I drove, was set up a little bit softer for daily driving. It's more comfortable, but at the same time, when I'm really pushing the car hard, this AP1 is more enjoyable to me. Everything about it just has, faster responses, better brakes. And I mean, brakes are such a big thing to me. If I can't get the car stopped with confidence, then I'm not going to have the confidence to go full throttle. So they're kind of two different ethos in terms of how to build an S2000. But now I'm leaning more towards, like, if you really want to build a really fun, track-focused S2000, regardless of like lap times or whatever, AP1 might be a pretty good choice because number one, you can get it for cheaper. First of all, you can get a relatively decent one for about 10K right now with a clean title, versus an equivalent AP2 probably closer to like 13, 14K, I would say. So you save a little money, you can put a little more into the mods, and you just have that much more enjoyment when you rev the engine out an extra 1,000 RPMs. And I didn't feel any twitchiness with the rear end of this car. I know the AP1 in stock form is known to have a more loose rear end, but this one, the way it's been set up, feels absolutely rock solid in the canyons.
Well, it's got the rear bump steer kit also, so that makes a huge difference. Yeah.
So thanks again, Mario, for letting me drive your AP1. I've been wanting to drive an AP1 for a long time, and this really kind of cured that itch for me, and it really makes me respect this car almost even more than the AP2, which is kind of ridiculous because up until this point, the AP2 is my favorite car to drive in the canyons, but now this one, I would say, it edges it out slightly. So
my future direction would probably be to have all the Spoon sports parts, the front bumper, perhaps the Spoon hardtop, and of course getting some Volk wheels. I plan to keep this car for life. I don't really see myself selling it, even if I do acquire perhaps an NSX first generation.
My favorite thing about the S2000 is how it's very driver oriented. It's almost as you're very connected with the car.
I plan to keep this car forever, and my future plans is to do a Turbo S. That'll probably be where I end the car with this turbo in it. I love the look that I have right now, so if I can go turbo within a few years, I'll definitely be happy with that and keeping this car until its last breath.
Definitely the favorite thing about the S2000 for me is going top down. I think it enhances everything. There's nothing like driving at night in the mountains, just like the sound screaming off the walls and you seeing and hearing everything.
So my favorite thing about the S2000 is when I'm driving it and I see a Miata They look over at you and they know they bought the wrong car.
It's probably going to be my last car, which is fine with me.